Slide number 1. So let me...
Saglit lang, bro.
Okay. Okay. So, sorry, ito na pala. Ito na po tayo. Okay, let me try to do it po mga kapatid ha. Okay. So, okay. Okay, there you go. So, Assyrian Confederacy during Assyrian War. So, this is an important point mga kapatid kasi one of the common understanding na meron po tayo is that the war and the Assyrian Confederacy are the same event. So, yun po yung ating isa sa naging problema kung bakit nagkaroon po tayo ng maling pagkaunawa. Okay? So, that is probably one of the um, main issue na dapat po nating tingnan. And isa pa po, yung tabernacle of his palace, one of the wrong understanding we have sa tabernacle of his palace na ma-establish siya before the war, that is another point na dapat po nating titingnan na hindi po yun tama. I would not say na nagkamali tayo because that is what we believe before, but because knowledge increases. Okay po? So during that time, mga kapatid, kailangan nating tatandaan na yung tabernacle of his palace, paki-pause, Brother Nesty, Daniel 11, babalikan ko po yung Daniel 11 na study this coming Friday night, okay? I will be discussing Daniel 11 again, continuation of our part 1 last Friday. So next Friday, we will be finishing the whole Daniel 11. Okay? Now, the point is, mga kapatid, the Assyrian Confederacy and Assyrian War are two different things, but in one main event. Okay? So, tingnan po natin. Will the war, ito po ay 15 BT or Bayesian Tidings, Volume 15, page 25 o 26 na something. Ito pong binabasa ko ngayon. Okay? So, question number 3, will the war begin at the commencement of the last 42 months and continue for its duration? Or will it start at the termination of the last 42 months? Tingnan po ninyo. Tingnan po ninyo yung question ha. Ito pa ay nagpapakita na magkaiba yung confederacy at saka yun pong war. Kasi ang question, will the war begin at the commencement of the last 42 months and continue to its duration? Or will it start at the termination of the last 42 months? So ngayon, ang point is, yun bang war, kailan siya mag-begin? Yun ang po ninyo mga kapatid. This will be very interesting. Kailan ba mag-begin yung war? During, before, or after? So let's read, sabi po rito. Since the war starts in the latter end of the time God's people are scattered among the Gentiles, just before his people are delivered, and since Revelation 11:2 makes certain that the latter end of the times of the Gentiles is the last 42 months allotted to them. And finally, since God's people are delivered at that time, then it follows inescapably that the war continues for at least 42 months. In God's providence, it may begin sometime before the start of the 42 months, thus concealing their start so as to confound time setters. So tingnan po ninyo mga kapatid ha, ang war ay maaaring mag-start even before pa magkaroon ng 42 months. The war might begin before 42 months. Okay? Again, war might begin before 42 months. Sang-ayon po rito. So yung war itself na magtatagal dapat ng 3.5 years, So sabi po, ay maaaring hindi magsisimula siya, for example, let me just give you an example. For example, yun pong war ngayon. This war is not it's not yet World War. But it might be the beginning of the World War. So yun yung kailangan nating tandaan. So maaaring yan yung beginning ng World War. But hindi natin malalaman kung kailan talaga yung simula ng duration ng 3.5 years. So yun yung point na pinapakita po dito. Oh, sorry. Putol-putol po ako? Putol-putol po ba ako sa lahat?
Hindi man, bro. Okay lang
Okay
naman.
lang sa akin, bro.
Ano na po?
Clear ka sa
Ayos
akin.
lang. Ayos lang.
Sa iba po?
Okay lang, brother.
Okay. Okay, clear po sa iba. Kuya Jeremy, baka po sa iyo. Thank you so much. Okay. Now let's continue. Tandaan po natin mga kapatid, the 42 months might, or 3.5 years might, World War III might start before the duration of 3.5 years. Sang-ayon po dito sa ating binabasa. For what reason? Para po sa time setters, hindi sila, hindi nila makita kung saan. So, napakaganda po, di ba? So, may purpose pala kung bakit hindi natin dapat malaman yun pong tawag dito, yung starting point para yung sa time setters hindi mag time set, no? That's very interesting. Now let's go with the next statement. So, sorry. Continuation. According to the above quotation, the war continues for at least 42 months or 3.5 years and may begin sometime before the start of 42 months. It does not begin at the termination of the 42 months. That is clear, right? So there's a possibility na ang war, mga kapatid, is not going to start World War kaagad. It will proceed gradually. Ibig sabihin, progressive. Nagpa-progress siya. So that is a point na kailangan nating tatandaan. Okay po mga kapatid? And I hope that this one gives us a better understanding. Okay po? Now, let's continue to the next slide. Question number 4. This is question number 4. Question number 4. Okay. Thank you so much, Brother Seth. Now, question, how long will the war last? Will it be nuclear war? So yeah, that's the question. Answer, in the logic of facts, it is from warfare which does not arrive and then quickly dies out. It stays long. Sinabi po ito ng inspiration. 12 symbolic code yan. Any extensive use, if indeed any use of nuclear weapons in the war, must necessarily be ruled out. So during this war, wala pong nuclear weapon. Okay? For any appreciable use, if not the slightest use of them, would unavoidable trigger a total nuclear retaliation, which in a matter of hours would leave a horribly devastated and decimated world in which most life, to say nothing of further war, capability would be destroyed. So hindi pa pwedeng nuclear war. Why? Kasi kung nuclear war, mga kapatid, wala nang great multitude. Wala na tayong makukuha dahil maraming tao ang mamamatay. So hindi po, so during World War III, there will be no nuclear war that is going to happen. No nuclear war, save of further war, no nuclear war, save of the most rigidly controlled token proportions, could last more than a few hours. And it is scarcely conceivable that any nuclear retaliation could be controlled over a period of time. One nuclear strike would force an equal of heavier retaliatory. So mga kapatid, note, there is no nuclear war during that period. Continuation, Brother Seth. Okay? So kasi kapag nagkaroon ng nuclear war, mga kapatid, abay ubos. Okay? Ubos ang tao. Now let's continue. Foolish indeed would be the nation which would fail to make the first retaliatory strike obviate the need of a second one. To fail to make the most of the first opportunity would in sorry, nahihilo ako. Okay. To fail make the most of the first opportunity would in all probability be to forfeit the second this continuing whirlwind. So the only logically admissible conclusion is that this continuing whirlwind, war which stays long, is fought with non-nuclear weapon. Even so, it will be frightfully devastating over a prolonged period. So, ang mangyayari po pala mga kapatid, this war, as it continues, it becomes pa, pa-intense ng pa-intense, mga kapatid. Pa-intense ng pa-intense. Now, but can we know how long it will stay? Alam ba natin kung gaano siya katagal? Sabi ito, it is to start in the latter end of the time God's people are scattered among the Gentiles, just before His people are scattered. Gives the answer in large part. So yung sinabi po noon na 3.5 years, ganun po kalayo or ganun po katagal aabutin ito pong 3.5 years of World War. Okay po? Ganyan po siya katagal. Now, question number 5. We are now in question number 5. So what is the question number 5? What happens when Great Britain, now prominently the United States? So ano mangyayari kapag yung Great Britain, ngayon ay United States of America na, hindi na po Great Britain, tapos na po yung period ng Great Britain, nasa US period na tayo, and her allies loses the war and are beaten down in the promised land. So anong mangyayari daw po pagkatapos na matalo ang Great Britain sa promised land? Ano daw po ang mangyayari sa kanya? Will God set up His kingdom at that time? Doon ba isi-set up ng Panginoon yung kaharian niya? Or is there any other period after the 42 months and before the kingdom is set up? Meron bang tawag ito? Meron bang period kung saan ba ilalagay natin yung setting up of His kingdom? Saan banda? Dito. So after the war ba? During the war ba? So nasaan daw po yung establishment of the kingdom? So sabi po rito sa answer, ang sagot po, at the termination of 42 months war in Israel with the fall of the four-horned Gentile powers, Assyria, the times of the Gentiles come to their end. The Gentiles no longer occupy Jerusalem. God's people, the 144,000, then go to occupy the land as the kingdom is set up. Nakita po ninyo? During the 42 months, after the 42 months, dun po pala yung exact natin na tatandaan, the kingdom is set up after the 42 months. Again, kingdom is set up after the 42 months. Thus, again and again, nearly 10 times over, does the rod vigorously make the same significant affirmation that in a great final conflict between Gentile inside Palestine and Gentile outside Palestine, the outs for carpenters will drive out the ins, the horns, thereby bringing the end to the final 42 months, Gentiles treading Revelation 11:2. So dito po mga kapatid, ang Jerusalem or ang Palestine will be under the Gentiles, the four horns, which is United States of America and her allies, at lalabanan naman sila ng Russia. So yun po yung gagawin nila. At yan ay maglalast ng 42 months. Now, thence automatically. So pagkatapos ng 42 months, ang sabi diyan, the end of the long intermittently overall Gentile trading or occupation of the land, and thus ushering the Christian Israelites occupation and rule of it. In other words, ushering the Davidian kingdom the church purified, triumphant. So nakita po natin mga kapatid, right after 42 months, um, automatic, pasok ang bayan ng Diyos sa promised land. Okay? Pasok ang bayan ng Diyos sa promised land. Now, let's continue. Continuation. Sabi po rito, at that time, when Jerusalem has fallen, and the Lord has removed all obstacles and hindrances for the gathering of His people, then it is that the house of Judah is reestablished. So nakita po natin, ang kingdom masiset up siya right after 42 months. Okay? Ang kingdom matatapos o ma-establish po siya after 42 months. Now, continue, God's people shall flee to the valley. Ito po ay Zechariah 14. Na-share ko po ito 2 weeks ago. Sa Zechariah 14, verse 4, verse 3 and 4, kung hindi po ako nagkakamali, magkakaroon po ng valley doon po sa Mount of Olives. So the kingdom will be set up right after the 42 months. Sa ngayon po ito binabasa natin. The Lord smites the armies of the nations. The four horns. Great Britain. Ngayon ay US na, hindi na Great Britain. And her allies. And the four carpenters, Gentiles, while at the same time, He protects and exalts His own people. So during that time, habang merong gera na nangyayari, habang merong gulo na nangyari, pinoprotektahan naman ng Diyos ang kanyang bayan. And then the kingdom will be set up. With the fall of Assyria, Great Britain, and her allies, now United States of America, and her allies, God sets up His kingdom. Kailan daw po? With the fall. Pagbagsak ng Amerika, pagkatalo niya sa war, at saka po magkakaroon ng setting up of His kingdom. Brother Joshua, I saw you raise your hand.
Yes po. Good evening. Parang naano ko kasi na nabubuo sa isip ko yung sinasabi mo na yung Third World War matatapos siya 42 months.
Yes.
Third World War yung binabanggit na 42 months pala na yan.
Yes, World War III.
Okay.
42 months or 3.5 years.
Ganun pala katagal bro ang ano.
Oh, yes.
Salamat.
Yes. Yes po. Okay. Now let's continue. Now, from a careful study of all that is bound up from the rod on the subject, there is no intervening time between the fall of Assyria and the setting up of the kingdom. Note, there is no intervening time before or after the fall of Assyria and the setting up of the kingdom. So tandaan po natin, no? Pagkatapos yung matalo, set up ang kingdom. Pagkatapos matalo ng ano. When other or defeated, then God set up His kingdom. Very good. Now, God's people shall flee to the valley as quickly as though they were fleeing from an earthquake. May question po?
Ha?
May naka-on pong
Thank
microphone. Okay, pakicheck po ninyo yung microphone niyo. Thank you so much. So nakita po natin mga kapatid, during that war, parang pagkatapos ng war mga kapatid, tatakbo kaagad sila papasok doon sa promised land. Kailangan nilang madala kaagad doon sa promised land. Bakit? Kasi parang para sa kanila ay parang merong lindol. Kaya gustong-gusto nilang makapasok sa yung parang, di ba, pagka lumindol, gusto nyo kaagad lumalis sa isang lugar. Ganun po yung mangyayari right after the war finished. Okay? Pagkatapos ng war, takbo kaagad ang bayan ng Diyos. Okay? So now let's continue to the next slide. Now, continuation. At that time, when Jerusalem... Sorry bro, pareho lang ito. Nadoble ko pala to bro. Sorry. Nadoble itong slide na to. Continuation yan. Pareho lang yung content eh. Oh. So sorry. Pakidelete na yan. Pakidelete yan. Parehong question number 5 yan. At saka pareho yung content. Next slide tayo. Pakidelete yung question number. Ikanya. Thank you. Okay. Now, what is the Assyrian Confederacy? This will be very interesting mga kapatid. Ang alam natin sa Assyrian Confederacy is World War III. Yun po yung alam natin sa confederacy. At yun din po yung alam ko, and I want to be honest with you, na kapag pinag-usapan ng Assyrian Confederacy, automatic 3.5 years yung aking naisip. But here, the Assyrian War and Assyrian Confederacy are categorized as two. So titingnan po natin, no? When will it be formed? Kailan mafo-form itong Assyrian Confederacy? Now let's read. The Assyrian Confederacy or alliance is a group of nations who share the same way of life and who are arming themselves for war to combat their fear of communism. So nakita po ninyo kung ano yung World War, yun pong Assyrian Confederacy. Assyrian Confederacy, mga kapatid, is a formation of nations, of peoples, na kung saan yun ay mga takot sa komunista. Okay? So yun po yung sinasabi dito. This federation of nations. So nakita po natin na ang Assyrian Confederacy is, okay? So, ulitin ko po mga kapatid sang-ayon po rito, ang Assyrian Confederacy is Federation of Nations. Federation of Nations. Okay? Yan po yung confederacy. Sister, confederacy. Lagay mo, confederacy is Federation of Nations. So nakita po ninyo? So dito pa lang, makikita natin na magkaiba yung Assyrian Confederacy at yung Assyrian War. Kasi yung Assyrian War results Assyrian Confederacy. So sa madali pong sabi, ang Assyrian War is the reason why there will be an Assyrian Confederacy. Now let's continue reading. Yes. Now let's continue reading. This will be very interesting. Sabi ito, this Federation of Nations has been in the making since after World War I. So nakita po ninyo, mga kapatid, yung Federations of Nations, nandyan na since World War I pa. Gusto na lang yung yung League of Nations, tapos yung United Nations ng year 1946. Itong mga ito, mga kapatid, okay, itong mga ito ay bahagi ng Confederacy. So nakita natin na pasok tayo sa Confederacy, although napakalayo na, World War I pa lang, may Confederacy na. Yet, sang-ayon sa ating babasahin, it will be very interesting. Anong sabi ng Confederacy? Continue tayo. Says, so binabasa ko po yung slide na sinisend ni Brother Seth, okay po? Sabi po ito, says the bound of testimony of the rod. So ito po yung nasa whirlwind of the Lord. Ang sabi po rito, with the World War Isaiah 8:9, God is challenging a move toward a federation of nations. With World War I, we began to hear serious proposals for the associating of nations into a single league. So ang gusto po talaga nila, mga kapatid, ay lahat, buong mundo, mga kapatid, buong mundo ay mapag-isa nila. So, yan po yung gusto nila. So ang federation is among nations. Note this one carefully, mga kapatid. Ang federation is among nations. Okay? Ang federation is among nations. Ang gusto nila ay magkaroon ng isa, lahat sila ay magkakaisa, lahat ng mga bansa. Walang isa man na hindi makikiisa. Now continue. And today, efforts are being made toward forming a strong and workable union of nations. Indeed, not only is the idea of international federation growing more and more prevalent, but in the minds of many great men, there is the positive conviction that the successful continuance of their nation's way of life is utterly dependent upon the closest association and cooperation of all those nations which share that way of life. So marami man, sinubukan man nila, mga kapatid, subukan man nila na gusto nilang magkaisa, pagsama-samahin ng lahat, hindi po yan mangyari dahil hindi sila pare-pareho ng pamumuhay. Yan po yung, World War I, we have heard the proposals. Yes. So yan po yung purpose nito pong confederacy. Now let's continue. Continuation. Sabi po, not of the specific, but only the general time of any probationary event. That is, Only the times and the season of these events is it given to us to know. So note na dapat po nating tandaan, mga kapatid, that the war, sorry, the Confederacy, not the war, kasi yung war, alam natin na 3.5 years. But the Confederacy, hindi natin alam kung saan talaga siya mangyayari. Pero sa ngayon po rito, saan banda, patuloy tayo. The wrath of God given an equivocal testimony that the Assyrian bloc of nations must first confederate. So nakita natin, ang unang magko-confederate is the Assyrian bloc. So siya yung unang magko-confederate. So magtatawag muna siya yung Assyrian Empire. The Assyrian Empire will do confederation first. Okay? Magkakaroon muna ng confederacy among Westernians. Yan ang unang gagawin. Anong kasunod? Tapos, during the last 42 months of the times of the Gentiles, wage a losing war, the hostile bloc of nations which gives rise to the confederacy. So nakita po ninyo mga kapatid, ano ang rason kung bakit may confederacy? Because of the war. Magkakaroon ng confederacy, so maglalaban muna yung Western Bloc at saka yung Eastern Bloc. Pag naglaban sila, mga kapatid, so ang unang nag-confederacy, oh no, we have the same problem again. Same problem. Same problem. Oh man. Okay. So, point to note mga kapatid, again, point to note that the Assyrian Confederacy is going to happen during the Assyrian War. Now let's continue. Since as we have already seen, okay, the Assyrian Confederacy prophetically rises within and falls at the end of 11 to 42 months. Bago tayo nagpunta rito. Okay, sabi po rito. Okay. Balikan natin po ito ha. Kasi importante po itong isang ito. Forward. Okay, send. So, tingnan po ninyo mga kapatid, ito pong point na ito. Okay? Sa second paragraph po ako. Second paragraph. Okay? Second paragraph, sabi po ito, since we had already seen, the Assyrian Confederacy prophetically rises within and falls at the end of Revelation 11:2. Nakita po ba ninyo mga kapatid yung point? Yung Assyrian Confederacy mga kapatid, yung Confederacy, pasok po siya doon po sa war. Again, the Confederacy ay pasok po siya sa war. Yung Confederacy, pasok siya sa war. Okay? So remember po yun ha? So, let me show you a diagram. Brother Seth, pakita yung diagram ng dapat dun lang sa tawag ito, sa Assyrian Confederacy lang. Yung Assyrian Confederacy lang yung ipakita mong diagram, bro. Yung 3.5 years. Sa 3.5 years na diagram lang tayo. Sa ayon po sa binabasa natin, it's clear. Okay? It is clear, mga kapatid, that the Confederacy will happen during or within, mga kapatid, within 3.5 years. Okay? So during 3.5 years, nakapaloob po doon sa 42 months or 3.5 years yun pong Assyrian Confederacy. And this is not clear to me, even to me mga kapatid, hindi po ito clear sa akin noon. I thought that the Confederacy is the war itself. Yun po yung akin pong pagkakaalam, that the Confederacy is the war itself. But Um, in reality, no, mga kapatid. Okay? Okay. Notice po ninyo mga kapatid, yung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mamaya, papaliwanag ko po yan kung bakit meron po tayong nilagay dyan. Pero tingnan po ninyo mga kapatid, yun pong, during sa Assyrian Confederacy War, during Assyrian War, nakita po ninyo yung 3.5 years, the 42 months, nilagyan ni Brother Seth ng 42 months. Kita po ninyo yung diagram. Diyan po sa diagram, admit, there you go. Diyan po sa diagram mga kapatid, okay, diyan po sa diagram na atin pong pinapakita ngayon, makikita po natin na nasa loob niyan, nagme-message tayo. Ibig sabihin, meron pong mga sasali sa confederacy. Meron pong magjo-join sa confederacy ng mga Adventist. Okay po? Now, the Assyrian Confederacy, sabi rito, is in the period of the 42 months. Okay? In or within, nasa loob ng confederacy. Ng Assyrian War. Sangayon po sa binabasa natin. Now, let's continue. Sabi po rito, okay. So,
Next slide, bro.
wait lang bro. Okay. So, then conclusively, neither the Assyrian Confederacy waits to be set up in subsequent period, nor the Davidian kingdom waits very long, if that long, after the end of Revelation 42-month period to be ushered in. So nakita po ninyo mga kapatid sana po na-gets po natin. Please, sana po na-gets po natin. Ang Assyrian Confederacy ay nasa loob or within, nasa pagitan or nasa period ng 42 months. I hope that one is clear. Na-gets po ba natin yon? Next slide, brother Seth. Next slide. Next slide tayo.
Okay.
Okay. Now, whatever is not clear on this point will have to be explained by the author himself or when the Lord sees fit to open it up to us. So kung tingnan natin kung sino ang gagamitin ng Panginoon, kung paano niya i-declare sa atin, kung meron pa tayong kailangang malaman at matutunan, ibibigay yan sa atin. Now, as we near the time when the Eastern Bloc of Nations will be joining their forces for a takeover in Palestine, the Western Bloc will be growing stronger and stronger until Assyria will go into Israel to tread, occupy, rule, and possess the land. It is at that time that the Confederate Nations will wage a losing war in Palestine, even though their confederating together rises to a peak during the 3.5 or so during the 42 months of Revelation 11:2 in an effort to defeat the Eastern Bloc of Nations. So nakita po ninyo, kaya po natin nilagyan ng 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 na tawag po rito na chart. Ayan po yung mag-i-intensify. Ibig sabihin, palala ng palala yun pong war. Okay? So yun po yung pinapakita po diyan sa nilagyan natin ng 1 to 10 na war. Okay? Now let's continue in the next slide. Let's continue in the next slide. Oops. Okay. So sabi po rito, when will confederacy commence? So kailan ba mangyayari yung confederacy? Okay po, saan? Kailan? The confederacy that we are studying commences before the loud cry and before the slaughter. Okay? So tingnan po ninyo So itong statement na ito, yung pong commences, ngayon maintindihan na po natin kung ano po yung commences. Kung nasaan po yung period, itong statement na ito. Okay? So tingnan po ninyo kung saan yung period niya. Nakita po ninyo yung ceiling of the 144,000? Nasa during war pa yan? Nakita po ba ninyo? Na during the war, in the period of war, okay po, sangayon po sa sa pinapakita ko po sa inyo ngayon, during the war, meron pa pong, ang 144,000 ay hindi pa po sealed. Okay? During the war, ang 144,000 ay hindi pa sealed during the war. So war ang pinag-uusapan po natin. Okay? So war po yung pinag-uusapan natin. Wala pong mangyayaring o hindi pa po tapos ang sealing during the war. Okay? So pag nag-start ang war, hindi pa po tapos ang tawag po ito, sealing. Let's read this one. Kasi ang question natin na dapat sagutin kanina ay ito. Wait lang po ha. Brother Nesty, paki-send mo nga yung ano kung kaya mong nasa na ba 'yon? Ito to. Okay. So ito po yung question natin kanina na dapat sagutin, di ba? Okay. So tingnan po ninyo 'yan. So kung naalala po ninyo kayo ng umaga, sinabi ko po, will the 144,000 be sealed before World War III? The answer is no. So kung World War III ang pinag-uusapan po natin, hindi po matatapos ang Ezekiel 9 hindi po matatapos ang sealing ng 144,000 before World War III. Pero matatapos po siya before Confederacy. Kaya po ninyo ha, kailangan po nating tandaan ito. Kailangan po ninyong namnamin mabuti. Yun pong pinapakita po ng atin pong diagram. The 144,000 will not be sealed before World War III. They will be sealed, all of them, with and 144,000 during World War III. At merong certain point during 3.5 years na matatapos yung sealing. Tandaan po natin yung mga kapatid ha. So ito po yung importante na dapat po nating malaman kung bakit ko po ito ibinahagi sa atin. Yes, sister. That's the point. Mauuna ang war bago yung Confederacy because the Confederacy is just part of the war. Nasa latter part ng war. Ito pong Assyrian Confederacy. Our message to Nineveh. So, sang-ayon po sa binabasa po natin, sang-ayon po rito sa atin pong pinag-uusapan, ongoing pa habang merong, hindi natin alam, wala po tayong time setting kung ilang taon, ilang araw, ilang buwan bago yung Confederacy mangyari. So ipagpalagay lang po natin, halimbawa 2 years na or 2.5 years na nagwa-war. Kung baga, yung war, yung mag-trigger, yes sister. So parang ang papasok siya doon sa gusto niyang kaya siya nagkaroon ng war dahil gusto niyang magsanib-sanib puwersa. So yun yung gusto nila. Kaya nga nila ginera para magkasanib-sanib sila magkasama-sama sila. So nakita po ninyo yung sealing? It will continue. Continue siya bago yung Assyrian War. Assyrian Confederacy. So nakita po ninyo mga kapatid ha? Very interesting yan na dapat po nating makita. Dapat nating makita. Now, sangayon po ron, so the Confederacy, so matagal po yung duration ng sealing. Yes, mas matagal yung duration ng sealing dahil testing point yan sa kanila. Mamaya magugulat po kayo dahil there will be a death decree during this period. So nasa study din po yan. Nandito rin po yan sa study na atin pong pinag-uusapan. Okay? So let's continue reading. So sabi po ron sa huling passage na sinend, sabi po rito, the confederacy that we are studying here commences before the loud cry and before the slaughter of Ezekiel 9. It is not the image of the beast, for this association precedes the image of the beast, and the confederacy is formed when the nations are girding themselves for war. So nakita po ninyo mga kapatid, yung ibig sabihin ng girding for war? The girding for war is world wars. Yung world war, that is still girding for war. Hindi pa yan yung nag-gird na sila for war. So there is this intensified, mas palala ng palala. Yan po yung girding for war. So during World War, simula sila sa 1, papunta 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pataas ng pataas. Yun pong level ng World War. Okay po, patindi ng patindi. Now let's continue to the next slide, Brother Seth. Next slide, Brother Seth.
Yes, bro.
Okay. When will the confederacy that is being formed, the nations girding themselves for war, reach its crescendo? Yung crescendo, what is crescendo, mami? peak, right? Okay, so yung crescendo po is the peak. So hanggang saan aabot o saan yung peak nito pong confederacy? Saan yung peak niya? The confederacy itself must come during, tila po ninyo kaya po nilagay natin, yung confederacy ay mangyayari sa during Revelation 11 to 42 month period. So mangyayari yung confederacy sa period o nasa loob ng 42 months. Not after it, hindi pagkatapos niyan. Okay? Hindi pagkatapos ng confederacy na yan. O hindi pagkatapos ng war na yan. But within. Kasi kay Sister Florence na stand ay after the war. Okay? Sa Weko na stand at sa aking stand noon ay confederacy is formed before the war. So yan po yung stand ng Weko on my part, sa akin pong part and my understanding. Now, but here we are being told sang-ayon sa bound up na ang confederacy ay mangyayari siya during nasa loob ng 3.5 years. Okay? Now let's continue. Okay. Neither can the confederacy rise to its crescendo before the Revelation 11:2, mga kapatid. So hindi mangyayari ang Ezekiel 9 before, mga kapatid. Before, hindi pa po mangyayari yung hindi pa po mangyayari yung confederacy. Hindi pa mangyayari yung confederacy. Sorry, hindi mangyayari yung confederacy before the start of 42 months. Ang confederacy mangyayari siya at the crescendo or peak ng war. Now let's continue. Sabi ito, neither can the confederacy rise to its crescendo before Revelation 11:2, 42 months war, though it is presently in the making and will continue to intensify as we near the time of the war. So nakita po natin, pag malapit na po tayo dun sa war, palala ng palala, ng palala, ng palala, ng palala. Yan po yung mangyayari, mga kapatid. Okay, now let's continue. Next slide. Brother Seth. Ezekiel 9 is happening during those months. Yes, sister, in the latter part of the Assyrian confederacy. Sa huling bahagi ng Assyrian confederacy. Yes. So, question number 9. Can you explain the following statement? Put another way. Ito po yung sinasabi. Ito maganda tong point nito kasi para maintindihan po natin kung anong ibig sabihin itong put another way. Kasi madalas ko itong gamitin doon sa mga nakasubaybay ng Assyrian Confederacy na akin pong mga studies. Nakita po natin at madalas ko pong ginagamit ito pong put another way. Okay? So anong ibig sabihin yan? Can you explain the following statement? Put another way, the confederacy will commence after the sealing and perhaps just before Ezekiel 9. So nakita po ninyo yung confederacy, mga kapatid? Pinakita ko po sa inyo yung pong pakibilugan mo, brother tawag dito, brother Seth. Pakibilugan mo yung para maintindihan natin, close of probation, yung 144,000 sealed. Pagkatapos, lagyan mo ng guhit na ibang kulay. Pagkatapos Ezekiel 9, bilugan mo. So yung in between ng circle, in between yung line, that is the confederacy. So sang-ayon po sa binabasa po natin, the confederacy is going to happen. Tandaan po natin ang confederacy na ating po pinag-usapan is going to commence or start after the sealing and perhaps just before Ezekiel 9. Okay? So nakita po ninyo yung close of probation and yung Assyrian Confederacy ay nasa between after the sealing and then ng Ezekiel 9. Nasa between. So the confederacy is in between. Pakilagay ito, Brother Seth. Confederacy is between close of probation for the church and Ezekiel 9. Okay? The confederacy is going to happen in between the close of probation for the church, pagkatapos ng sealing, and before Ezekiel 9. That is when Assyria is going to happen. Assyrian Confederacy is very good. Confederacy is in between close of probation for the church and Ezekiel 9. That is the Assyrian confederacy, mga kapatid. So I hope this one is clear to us. Kailangan maging clear na sa atin ito. And honestly, after giving a study, um, after listening to the study, mga kapatid, it was so clear to me. Very clear to me na ito pala yung actual events na mangyayari, mga kapatid. Yung SA pala dyan, yung COP, SDA is yung close of probation sa SDA Church. Tapos yung um, SA is Solemn Assembly. Okay? So yan po, mga kapatid, ay mangyayari. Yes po. Tapos na yung ceiling. Apo. So nakita po ninyo yung no, during the war pa. Pansinin po ninyo yung, yes, may ceiling pa. Continuous pa yung ceiling. Continuous ang ceiling. Yes, sister. So yung confederacy is not the war. Point this one carefully po, mga kapatid, ha. The confederacy is not the war itself. The confederacy is the union of nations. Na yun yung kanilang purpose, na mag-unify ang nations. Yun ang kanilang gagawin. Yun yung kanilang pinipilit na gawin. But sang-ayon sa inspiration, it will come to end.
Oh, so during ng during ng confederation na yun nga, Assyrian Confederation, yung 144,000 naman kasi sinasabi 'di ba? Sealed na sila. Sa
Yes.
point of view naman nila, dina-develop na nila yung promised land. Kasi sabi mo, na-mention mo 'di ba, after ng confederacy, magkakaroon na kagad ng promised land kagad kasi
Yes.
now it makes sense kasi during those time natapos na yung sealed, during na Assyrian Confederacy, dine-develop nila yung yung promised land. Kaya pala magkaka-promised land after ng Confederacy. Tama? Nasusunod ako.
Actually, si Sir, yung Assyrian Confederacy ay pasok pa siya sa World War. Ibig sabihin, yung mga nasa loob ng Promised Land ay being driven out. Nakuha po ninyo? Pinapalabas pa sila. Pinapaalis pa sila doon.
Okay po.
Okay. So, nandun pa yun sa period na yan. At the end, doon lang magkakaroon ng miracle ang Panginoon na malilinis yung Mount of Olives. Pagkatapos mahati siya sa dalawa, magkakaroon ng valley. Pagkatapos papasok tayo doon. Zechariah 14 verse 1, 2, 3, 4. So yun po yung pinapakita dyan. So that is the period after World War III. Pagkatapos ng World War III, that is the event. Pero yung pinag-uusapan nating Assyrian Confederacy is during the 3.5 years. So ibig sabihin, nasa latter part siya ng 3.5 years. Kasi siya yung, kumbaga, siya yung deciding point ng mga bansa. Okay? So doon na po papasok yung ating pong yes bro. Along that line, brother Jezreel. After sealing solemn assembly, or close of probation, pero probably mauna yung solemn assembly before close of probation as a whole. Pero nasa pareho kasi silang event, nasa pareho silang period. Kasi doon mangyayari yung we are crying day and night. There will be a death decree. By the way po, mga kapatid, it's in the study in a short while that during that confederacy, yung small period na nakalagay, yung naka-purple, yung Assyrian Confederacy, there will be a death decree by that time. That's the reason why we will be tawag dito, crying day and night. And at the same time, we will be having our message to Nineveh. Now, these are events na hindi pa natin sure. Ito yung sinabi ng Rad na hindi pa natin alam kung paano ito ilalagay ng Panginoon, paano ito pagsusunod-sunurin ng Panginoon. But as far as the message is concerned, close of probation for the church comes solemn assembly na siyang magiging dahilan kung bakit tayo magsasama-sama and mag-unite as a people. At yun ay magdi-deciding point. Who is who? Sino ang sa Diyos at sino ang hindi sa Diyos. Some of them will be confederating with Assyria and then fall in Ezekiel 9. So ganun po yung mangyayari, Brother Jezreel. Okay, now let's continue. Next slide, brother tama na ba? Okay. Yes, so ganun po yung statement. That is clear. Now let's continue with brother, next slide, Brother Seth. So again po, tandaan po natin, yung confederacy is a short period of time, mga kapatid. The confederacy is a short period of time from sealing, yung end of sealing, and Ezekiel 9. Mapapagitnaan siya ng dalawang event na ito. Sealing, and then Ezekiel 9 happens. In between, okay? Tandaan po, in between of Ezekiel 9 and end of sealing. Okay, confederacy, Brother Seth, pakikuhan mo, the confederacy, nandito na pala, is in between the close of probation for the church and before the slaughtering of Ezekiel 9. Thank you so much. Yung Assyrian confederacy, that's the point. Actually, mamaya, papasok kasi tayo sa Daniel 11:45. Sayang. Daniel 11:45, may i-clarify tayo doon dahil last Sabbath, I shared it with some of the brethren. Meron tayong maling understanding, even to be particular, me. Not mali in a sense na yun kasi yung naintindihan ko nung nasa Weko, nasa Weko pa ako, and I just put it in the same way here with Weko. Sorry, here with Beishan. Tapos sabi ko, yung tabernacle of his palace pala ay mangyayari siya before um uh before the war. So these things, mga kapatid, ay kinaklarify natin, and this is from the headquarters, from the teachers of the headquarters, at ito po yung akin pong sinishare sa inyo. Now let's continue reading. What will God's enlightened ones do when they know that the revelation 11:2 or 42 months have begun? If they know when the 42 months begin, will that be time setting? So ito yung question, no? Kapag nangyari, mga kapatid, ay malaman na natin yung 42 months, ano ba ang gagawin natin bilang bayan ng Diyos? Ano naman ang magiging uh, uh, pagka nalaman naman natin yung beginning, hindi ba tayo magiging time setters yan? So let's read. Let's continue reading. What is clear to us at this time is that because of military strength of the Confederated Allies, they think they will win the 42 months war after Assyria gets into Israel to tread, occupy, and control the land. The confederacy that is now in the making and will continue to intensify rises to its peak during the 42 months. So nakita po ninyo, yung Assyrian Confederacy, ginagawa na siya ngayon, nangyayari na siya ngayon. World War I pa lang, meron ng Assyrian Confederacy. Meron ng Confederacy. Pero mai-intensify siya, mas titindi siya sa period pagpasok natin ng 42 months. So nasa within the 42 months, yun pong Confederacy. Now, the Confederacy that is now in the making, okay, rises to its peak during the 42 months. It is at this time that the message goes to Assyria. So nakita po ninyo, nilagyan po ni Brother Nesty, yung sinilagay niya, it is when the message goes to Assyria. So there is a pointed time na after the sealing, hindi pa natin alam na tayo silyado, we will have solemn assembly. Hindi natin alam kung sino sa atin ang ma-Ezekiel 9. Kasi that period, at saka tayo nag-i-intensify ng tayo ay kinakailangang mag declare ng ng Assyrian Confederacy, say not a confederacy, doon sa mga taga Assyria, sa Nineveh, sa tagalabas. Now, continue. Sabi dito, the confederacy, okay. And at the same time, to God's people, not to fear their fear. So nakita po natin, at the same time, continuous pa rin, yun pong sealing among God's people. Kasi mayroon pa pong sinabi na fear not their fear. Kasi sinasabihan natin ang bayan ng Diyos. Okay, sometime along in this Revelation 11:2, 42 months, God's people will already have been sealed. Some of God's people will already have been sealed during the 42 months. No, lahat po ay sealed na during solemn assembly. Lahat po ay sealed na during solemn assembly. Remember na ang confederacy is after the sealing and before Ezekiel 9. After the sealing and before Ezekiel 9. In between. Now let's continue. Let's continue. Sometime along in this Revelation 42 months, God's people will already have been sealed. So, during the war, yung iba sa atin, yung sa start ng war, maaring meron ng silyado. So, hindi lang natin alam kung sino. Tapos, continuous pa rin yung war. Very true. Now, sabi po ito, God's people will already have been sealed so that when they give the message to Assyria, they have no fear of the threatened death decree. So nakita po natin, sa Assyrian Confederacy mga kapatid, meron pong death decree doon. So meron pong mga silyado na lalaban doon po sa Confederacy or sa during sa war. So during the war, okay. So let me tawag ito, padaliin natin. Pagpasok natin ng World War pagpasok natin ng World War 3, ilan sa atin ay maaring silyado na? Okay? Pagpasok natin ng World War 3, ilan sa atin maaring silyado na? Ang gagawin natin, tayo ay tayo ay mag-decree ng say not a confederacy. Wag kayong mag-confederate. Wag. Una sa inang iglesia, sunod doon sa labas ng iglesia. Okay? Now, in this period, makikita natin na may mga silyado na pero hindi nila alam. Pero habang patagal ang panahon, during 3.5 years, yung bayan din ng Diyos, magkakaroon ng seal. Patindi ng patindi. Habang patindi ng patindi yung gera, patapang naman ng patapang ang bayan ng Diyos. So, ganun po yung mangyayari. Okay? So, habang patindi ng patindi yung gera, patapang na patapang ang bayan ng Diyos. At patapos ng patapos yung sealing sa loob ng iglesia. Not until i-declare nila yun pong Assyrian Confederacy. Okay? Now, let's continue reading. It is at this time that the following will be fulfilled. Ano yun? Next slide, brother Nesty. Next slide. Ano yung nandoon? So sabi po rito, bakit putol yan? Wait. Kasi the following statement will be fulfilled. Tama ba yan? Continuation ba? Okay, continuation nga. Okay, sabi ito, time setting is the setting ahead of time of the date of the occurrence. Parang may kulang, bro. Parang may kulang dito na isang slide. Parang may kulang na isang slide dito kung hindi ako nagkakamali.
Ano po, yung...
Diyan sa isang yan, parang may isang slide na kulang kung hindi ako nagkakamali sa aking pagkaalala.
Or baka babaliktad will be the true
Ano?
Kasi ang next nito is what will God's enlightened ones do when they know that the Revelation 11 to 42 months have begun. This will be
yes. Pareho yan pareho. So, kasi yung ay continuation, nakalagay dyan, continuation, nung nasa taas na slide natin. Continuation sa taas na slide natin. Alam ko ay kulang yan. Kasi meron nakalagay dyan, following will be fulfilled. Bakit wala rito? But it's okay. Let's skip that one. Sabi rito, time setting is the setting ahead of time. So pag sinabing time setting, ibig sabihin nagsiset ka ng time before pa mangyari yun. Pero tayo po mga kapatid, Brother Nesty, pa-off ng microphone. Pa-off ng microphone, Brother Nesty. Thank you so much. Okay. So sang-ayon po dito mga kapatid, tayo po ay hindi nagse-set ng time. Wala po tayong time setting. Tayo po ay nagkakaroon ng date after the event. Yan po ang ginagawa natin, okay? So nagsasabi lang tayo, ito yung period na yon. Kapag katapos ng event ay nangyari na. Yan po yung ginagawa natin. Now let's continue. Iskipan ko yan. Dito tayo sa bababa. Okay. Yung it should be clear to all. Sundan niyo po ako. It should be clear to all. It should be clear to all that the publishing, the heralding is not of the 42 months, but also the continued warning against the confederacy. So ang ginagawa po natin ngayon, yung ating mga publication ay nagpapakita na meron pong kailangan nating iwasan na confederacy. Ito ay nagbabawal o nagsasabi sa atin na huwag tayong sumama doon sa confederacy. Yan po yung purpose ng ating publication. Okay? Now, so when current events finally confirm as indubitable, so kapag nangyari na po yung event na atin po pinag-uusapan ngayon, unimpeachable fact, the takeover and control of Jerusalem by the four-horned Gentile powers, then God's enlightened little ones will know that Revelation 11:2, 42-month prophetic period has begun. So malalaman pala natin siya mga kapatid pagka nangyari na nag-take over na ito pong four-horned Gentile powers sa Promised Land. So pag nakita natin, ay, yan na yon. Okay? Yan na yon. Now let's continue reading. Sabi rito, and in the convincing and convicting power of the absolute certainty, they will then proclaim it as absolute truth, yet without necessarily knowing the exact day and hour of either its beginning or its ending. So, hindi pa rin naman natin malalaman kung kailan ba talaga kailan nagsimula at saka kailan matatapos. Kasi nga po, remember na ang matatapos lang ang war kapag natapos yung uh, natapos yung Ezekiel 9. Doon lang natin malalaman, ay tapos na yung war. Tapos na yung 42 months kasi tapos na yung sealing. At tapos na rin yung Ezekiel 9. So doon po natin malalaman. So walang time setting tayo mga kapatid. This will be true proclaiming of it. The true testing in the proclaiming of it. Proclaiming of it. And it will mightily power up the proclamation and process of purification and will quickly affect the gathering of the rest of God's little ones, 144,000. Thus expedited shall a nation, 144,000 first fruits, be born at once. So, ito po yung period na mangyayari na isang gabi lang, isang araw lang, magkakaroon ng isang bansa. So, pagkatapos ng Ezekiel 9, mga kapatid, tapos ang war, magkakaroon ng panibagong bansa in one day. Yung 144,000, magiging isang bansa sila in a period of a day. So, ganun po katindi. No? In a period of a day, magkakaroon ng isang malaking bansa. That is the 144,000 in the promised land in one day. So for example, natapos ngayon ang war, natapos ang Ezekiel na ngayon. Pasok sa promised land ng 144,000, kinaumagahan, meron ka ng isang bagong bansa. It will be born at once. Isahan. Now, the penitent Laodiceans are separated from the impenitent ones during Assyria's fall and then are liberated from her rule or yoke. Isaiah 10:27. So mga kapatid, dito po pinapakita po sa atin, and I hope this one is clear to us. Hindi ko na po susundan yung ating slide. I don't know, paki-post nga brother Neste yung next slide. Kasi mayroon tayong lalaktawan dyan sa slide na yan. Paki-send yung next slide kung yan ba yung okay. Oh no, skip this one. Question number sorry. Take counsel together. Will there be a wicked counselor in the confederacy? Okay, no. Skip this one, bro. Paki-delete yan. Tapos punta ka sa question number 12. Question number 12, pakipakita sa akin yung question number 12. Kasi meron lang po akong bago tayo magtapos. Question number 12. Tama ba? What is question number 12? Oh, no, no. What warning is given? Okay. Mga kapatid, kayo po ang magbasa, ha. Basahin niyo po ito pagkatapos po ng study natin. Nandiyan po yung PowerPoint. Basahin po ninyo yung iba pang mga questions and answers kasi mag-skip po ako. Okay, what is God's people called to do at this time? Okay. So dito tayo sa what decree? Okay, dito tayo sa question number 14. Question number 14, Brother Seth. This will be the last. Okay, so ito po yung last natin mga kapatid. Last. Okay. So paki-delete mo yung question number 11, bro. Paki-delete mo 'yan. Paki-delete mo rin yung question number 12. Sorry, yan po yung questions mga kapatid, no? At hindi po natin pag-aaralan yung question 11, question 12 at question 13. Question 14 po tayo diretso. Pero basahin niyo po 'yan kapag kayo na po ang nag-aaral. Okay? Please don't forget to read it. Importante din po yung mga points na 'yon, but the purpose of this study tonight is malaman natin yung kung saang period o ano yung mga events na mangyayari during the 42 months and during the confederacy. Now, um, what decree is issued against them? Anong decree mga kapatid ang i-issue laban sa mga banal during that period? Thus, there will be a decree that if men dare to disobey, they must face threatened penalty of death. Those, however, who have been sealed when the decree comes will seek death, and death will flee from them. God will not let them die. Point that one carefully. I want you to note that one carefully. There will be a death decree mga kapatid. Death decree, hindi yan yung death decree doon sa Sunday law. Yung death decree sa Sunday law ay hindi po ito yung pinag-uusapan natin. Ito ay before Ezekiel 9. So merong death decree mangyari mga kapatid before Ezekiel 9. Death decree against the saints. Those who will not confederate. So doon sa mga hindi mag-confederate mga kapatid, hahanapin nila na gusto nilang mamatay. Kaya lang hindi sila mamamatay. They will be protected. This decree comes before the loud cry. Okay? Is made by confederated Assyria. So itong confederacy na ito ay mangyayari before ng loud cry at is made by confederated Assyria. Ito ang gumawa nito, yung Assyrians. And is what in the finality puts the teeth in the steel jaws of the confederacy trap, which snaps shut on all in the church. Only the 144,000 escaped once accepted. So nakita po ninyo mga kapatid kung ano mangyari sa atin? During that war, there will be during that war and during the confederacy, there will be a death decree. Kung hindi ka sasama, patay. Tayo po rito, through this Assyrian confederacy, God is to be a gin and snare. The confederacy will be this should be there's a missing statement here. Yan po ay magiging gin for God's people. Gin and the snare. To antitypical Judah. So marami pong madadaya diyan po sa Assyrian Confederacy na yan. Diyan po sila mag-join, diyan po sila magpapasok, diyan po sila tawag po ito, kumbaga akala nila tama yung pong confederacy na yon. So yan po ano? So this prophecy declares, and many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. This prophecy declares that the confederacy will be a snare, a trap, and that many will fall and be taken in it. So marami po diyan mga kapatid sasali, may mga magsasali dahil nagtatawag sila ng confederacy at mabubuo ang confederacy after the sealing. Okay? Pero before the sealing, marami po ang magko-confederate sa kanila. Marami na pong aanib, kumbaga, mga kapatid. And one of it ay yung mga sasali sa war. So during that war is a call for confederacy. So again, the war is to call a confederacy. Yun po yung war. Now, let's continue. Thus is the Lord going to test all his people and let them reveal just how much faith each of them has in the face of this warning. We must make the necessary preparation so that we will not fall into the snare. God has clearly forewarned his people so that they will not be taken by surprise. So, Yan po mga kapatid, no? It should be a lesson, an object lesson to us that many will be last, kung di ko nagkakamali, last po ito. Surely, the startling and urgent warning in these last two rod statements is ample and enough and plain enough to cause every responsible Adventist to allow nothing to prevent him from being evidently certain as to the prophetic identity and the time of the Assyrian confederacy, and from maintaining the tiptoe alertness of Satan's developing and springing of the fearful trap that it will be to the runway. So mga kapatid, sana nakita na po natin yun pong Assyrian Confederacy kung saang period siya. At yung Assyrian Confederacy is not the same with the Assyrian War, mga kapatid. No. Assyrian Confederacy is part of Assyrian War, mga kapatid. Okay? So I hope this one is clear to us. I wanted to share Daniel 11, but ano po ba yung solemn assembly exactly? Saan po siya or kailan po siya magaganap? Is it required to go there? Okay. So solemn assembly, sister, ay naalala mo yung bago mamatay si Jesus Christ? Before the death of Jesus Christ, nagkaroon po sila ng gathering. That gathering is that gathering is a deciding point. Sino ang sa Diyos at sino ang hindi. So, kung naalala ninyo sa sa Passover week, tayo ang solemn assembly ay during ng Passover week. Okay? So yung Passover week is cleansing. Ano ang ginagawa diyan? Hugasan ng paa, hugasan ng something. So yun po yung ginagawa, no? Hugasan ng paa. Pero sa ating period, ang solemn assembly ay yan po yung at lubusan nating pagbabalik sa Diyos. Diyan po natin malalaman yung kasalanan ng ating anak, kasalanan ng ating tatay, kasalanan ng ating kapwa. Diyan po sa solemn assembly. Yung deep repentance, diyan din po mangyayari. Ibig sabihin, ihahayag natin lahat ng ating mga tinatagong kasalanan, mga kapatid, during that time. So, solemn assembly will be gathered in one place. Dadalhin tayo sa isang lugar at yun po ay ang headquarters, which is in Bashan. So, the 144,000 will for sure be in Bashan when that time comes. Okay, that is the solemn assembly. Now, um, kailan siya magaganap? That is after the sealing. Sa akin po dun sa yung naka-SA doon sa binilugan ni Brother Nesty, SA, that is solemn assembly. That is after the sealing, when we cry day and night before the Lord, for deliverance. Okay, so when because there is a death decree na um, and the death decree is going to happen. So kailan pa lang natin malalaman na tayo po ay kung tayo po ay ligtas or kung tayo po ay may tatak. Remember, malalaman po natin na tayo po ay may tatak. Not hindi hanggang sa Ezekiel 9. Malalaman natin na tayo may tatak kapag merong death decree at hindi tayo namatay. Okay? So malalaman po natin, pinatay ako pero hindi ako namatay. Gusto nating mamatay pero hindi tayo mamamatay-matay. Malalaman natin, okay, ano pala to? Kuan pala to? Tawag dito? Um, Ligtas pala ako. No? Doon po natin malalaman along that period sa Assyrian Confederacy na mayroong death decree, doon natin malalaman, ay, teka, nabuhay ako Sige, hindi pala nila ako kayang patayin. Continuous 'yon. Magdi-decree tayo declare tayo. Hindi, mali ang confederacy ninyo. So kahit anong gawin nila, hindi tayo nila mamamatay. The Lord is going to protect us during this period. But at first, we will be afraid of it. Not until malaman natin na subukan na ng Panginoon, nasubok na tayo at nanatili tayo sa Panginoon at hindi tayo nag-confederate, then we will be tested by that time. So yun po yun, sister. Is it required to go there? Yes. Sangayon sa inspiration, yes. Not one will be excluded in the solemn assembly. So, kailangan nating bantayan when the association will say, okay, come. It's solemn assembly. Okay, so I'm not going to deal with Daniel 11 tonight. I will be dealing with that Friday night. Okay po. We will be finishing Daniel 11 study Friday night. I just find it really important. Saan po ba Bayesian? Yes, Missouri po, Sister Marie. Bayesian is in Missouri, United States of America. Okay, so yan po yung actual events, and sana po naintindihan na po natin mga kapatid, no, na yung um Assyrian Confederacy will happen. Assyrian Confederacy will happen before the end of or within that 42 months. So nandyan po sa pagitan ng 42 months yun pong Assyrian Confederacy, at matatapos po siya, and po yan ng bago po yan pumasok doon po sa tawag rito. Bago po yan pumasok doon sa Union of Churches. Kasi yan po ay Union of Nations. Pagkatapos ng Union of Nations, Union of Churches, and then after Union of Churches, there will be Union of State, Church and State. So yun po yung mangyayari sa latter part. But we will be dealing with that. So before we close, mga kapatid, I want to clarify this one. And this should be a lesson to us, mga kapatid. Meron pa bang isa, bro? Okay. Pinapakita ko lang pala. There you go. Dito tayo. Meron po akong last na iiwanan sa atin, mga kapatid. Okay? Ang isa po sa alam natin is that the tabernacle of his palace will be established before the war. Okay? Hindi po yun tama. Daniel 11:45, basa po tayo. Daniel 11:45. Okay, Daniel 11:45. Daniel 11:45. Okay. So gusto ko pong i-clarify ito, mga kapatid. The setting up of his tabernacle. Okay? So this should be, and he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. Okay. This particular period, okay, ito pong between two seas. This is after the war. Okay? So ito po, gusto ko pong i-clear ito sa atin dahil I share this many times sa mga kapatid. Ang stand ko po, at stand po ng association ay yung tabernacle of his palace will be during the war or before the war. So ito po yun, no? Sa ngayon po sa inspiration, ang akala ko po noon, mga kapatid, dati, no? Yung tabernacle of his palace, and I will be sharing this one again this coming Friday, but I want to make this point very clear, and I will be sending Sister Danita Wilkins statement. Okay, Sister Danita is the vice president of the association, and let me post her statement. Okay, Danita. There you go, Sister Danita. So nag-question po ako sa kanya, when will the tabernacle of his palace be established? Okay? So ito po yung question ko sa kanya. Ang question ko po sa kanya ay kailan ba okay. So, will it be established before the war or after the war? Okay. So ito yung question ko sa kanya. Okay? Okay, ito po yung question ko sa kanya. Will it be established tabernacles of his palace? Okay. So, wait lang. This is my question to Sister Danita Wilkins and Sister Maria Rock. Okay, so ito po yung question ko kay Sister Danita at kay Sister Maria Rock. Ang question ko po ay ganito. Will it be established, that is the tabernacles of his palace, before the war or after the war? So, kailan ba mangyayari itong or kailan ba magkakaroon ng establishment? Kailan ba ma-establish yung tabernacles of His palace? Okay? So, this is the answer of Sister okay, dito po. Okay. Dito tayo sa okay. Tingnan po ninyo. This will be very interesting. Sister Danita's answer. Okay? This is Sister Danita's answer. Wait, let me pause. Sister Danita's answer. Okay. So, tingnan po natin mga kapatid ha. Ano ang answer ni Sister Danita? Here. There you go. Sabi po dito, she sits on the head, the churches first. That's what this part is dealing with. So nakita na po ninyo mga kapatid, yun pong Daniel 11:45 is actually the union of churches. Okay? That's what this part is dealing with, not her sitting on the beast. The chart, the harvest period and close of probation shows the chronology. It is set up after the war because in losing the war, they will seek to counter the kingdom by setting up his tabernacle too. Try to say that God is with them. So nakita po ninyo mga kapatid, yung tabernacle of his palace, the tabernacle of his palace will be established after the war. Okay? So Daniel 11:45 will actually happen after the war. Yun pong particular na statement na and he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace, that is after the war. Sabi po rito, the kingdom by setting up, okay, remember, the war ends at the end of 42 months. So is the purification at the end of 42 months. And the kingdom is set up. During the time the kingdom is being set up, the woman is sitting on the heads. So nakita po ninyo yun? So yung period ng setting up of kingdom, that is the period, pagkatapos ng war, 144,000 goes in, we will set up the kingdom, tayo yung maglilinis ng kingdom doon natin lilinisin, 144,000 yon. Pagkatapos, habang tayo naglilinis doon, this Daniel 11:45 is going to happen at that time. Habang tayo naglilinis, sila ay nagre-reorganize. So, I will be dealing with that more this coming Friday, mga kapatid. And I hope it helps the brethren tonight in understanding some of the deep points ng study na ito. Okay po, mga kapatid. Please, if you have some questions, go ask and we will be dealing with it soon as possible. Okay? So, any more thoughts mga kapatid before we end? And I just hope clear sa atin yung Daniel 11:45. Okay? So, yes, Brother Hermilo. Yes po.
Medyo nakasitok, medyo deep study na, no?
Yes, bro.
Medyo meron lang siguro ako na intindihan,
Sure, sure.
Yung war na sinasabi mo, bro, anong klaseng war yan, bro?
That's World War III, bro.
War ng World War III.
Yes.
Okay. At saka yung bro, yung kanina na sinusundan kita, yung tinatawag na, yung solemn assembly na sinasabi mo.
Mm-hmm.
Ano din, sinabi mo ka na, after sealing?
Yes, after sealing.
Yung solemn assembly?
Yes. Yes, bro. After sealing of the 144,000 ang solemn assembly.
Hindi po pala mag-una yung yung solemn assembly tapos
sealing? No. Kasi ang magjo-join ng solemn assembly ay yung natatakan. Yung magjo-join ng solemn assembly ay yung mga matatatakan. Okay? Okay.
Yung sabi mo kanina na meron na during the 3.5 years, meron nang natatakan, hindi pa po yung solemn assembly.
Okay, yes. Remember, na sa period ng 3.5 years, nasa loob nun yung sealing. May sealing during 3.5 years, may sealing, nandoon din sa loob ng 3.5 years yung solemn assembly, nandoon din sa 3.5 years yung um, tawag po dito, yung confederacy. So meaning bro, in between or dun sa period ng 3.5 years, may mga events na nandyan, katulad na nabanggit ko, may events. Anong mga events doon? The events are solemn as sealing, continuous sealing, sealing, pagkatapos a close of probation for the church, or end of sealing, pagkatapos solemn assembly, pagkatapos confederacy, pagkatapos during confederacy there is a death decree, pagkatapos ng death decree Ezekiel 9 is going to happen at the end of 3.5 years, sa pinakadulo ng 3.5 years. So ganun ang sequence of events sangayon sa ating pinag-aralan ngayon. Basta lahat ng pinag-usapan po natin ay nasa period lang. Maliban sa Daniel 11:45, lahat na pinag-usapan natin ay nasa period ng 3.5 years. Na-gets mo, bro?
Last point bro.
Sure, sure.
Last point bro. Sa yung sinasabi mo kanina na yung alin po ba yung mauuna sa kanila yung yung World War III or yung Assyrian Confederacy?
Okay. So, pakitingnan mo yung
medyo nadudugtong na kasi ako.
Okay. Pakitingnan mo rito, pakitingnan mo itong chart na ito, bro. Pakitingnan mo yung chart na brother Seth, pakisend mo nga yung particular na 3.5 years. Brother Hermilo, gusto kong tingnan mo siya.
Saan po?
Sundan mo siya, Brother Hermilo, yung aking titingnan, yung chart na isisend ni Brother Nesty.
Yung 3.5 years mismo, bro?
Yes, 3.5 years lang, bro.
Okay.
Yung 3.5 years lang. That particular one. Para mas makita ni Brother Hermilo. Okay. Brother Hermilo, ano ang nakikita mo sa chart? Dalawang beses mo na send, bro. Okay. Ano ang nakikita mo sa chart, bro? Brother Hermilo? Nakamute ka, yata.
So sorry bro,
Okay.
Bro?
Sige.
The 42 months tapos meron pong sealing.
Okay. So,
Tapos message to
wait lang. Tingnan mo muna yung the 42 months. Yung box na yan, yung from one arrow to another arrow, ganyan kalayo yung 3.5 years. Yan yung period niya. Ano po?
Yung 6 araw.
Nakita mo po yung Jacob's time of trouble? Tingnan mo yung Jacob's time of trouble. Nakita po ninyo yung arrow na Jacob's time of trouble? Kita mo yun?
Hindi yun kasama yung sa baba, bro.
Teka. Okay. Pakita ko po sa iyo, ha. Wait lang.
Brother, may itatry din ako para maklaro niya talaga.
Okay. Tingnan mo yun, magkasama lahat yan, ha. Ibibigay ko lang sa iyo yung nilalaman nitong 3.5 years. Yung 42 months, yung 3.5 years. Kung nakikita mo yung 42 months sa taas, kung nakikita mo yung 42 months or 3.5 years, yun yung period ng 3 taon at 3 taon at kalahating taon. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, 3 taon at kalahating taon, 3.5 years yan. Now, sa 3 at kalahating taon, yung period na yan, makikita mo na nandyan sa loob niyan, yung first fruits and with the 144,000 matatatakan. Okay? So, matatapos ang sealing,
Yes, bro.
nasa loob ng period ng 42 months. Hindi before, hindi after, kundi nasa period, nasa loob. For example, nag-start...
During.
Yes, during. Pagkatapos niyan, so halimbawa natapos na, close of probation sa church, magkakaroon ng solemn assembly dahil mayroong death decree. Actually, kung dapat magkasabay yung solemn assembly at saka yung death decree or yung Assyrian confederacy. Kaya tayo mayroong solemn assembly dahil pag decree ng Assyrian confederacy, there will be a death decree. So yan ay may death decree. Okay? So ipinapakita lang po natin yung sequence of
Okay,
events.
bro. Okay, bro.
Yung Assyrian Confederacy, kung nakita mo yung purple na nakalagay Assyrian Confederacy, that is the Union of Nations, bro. And that is going to happen during, nakita mo, nasa period pa rin ng 2.5 years.
Okay, bro. Okay, bro.
Okay? So, lahat ng ating pinag-usapan ay nasa period ng 3.5 years. Now, ang pagkakasunod-sunod nga lang niya, yung Assyrian Confederacy, sang-ayon sa pinag-aralan natin, ay mangyayari after the sealing. Kaya nilagay natin yung, kung mapansin mo yung Assyrian Confederacy natin, inilagay natin after the sealing and before Ezekiel 9. So again, the Assyrian Confederacy, sa simula natin kanina, hindi ko lang alam kung umabot ka, magkaiba ang Assyrian Confederacy at yun pong 42 months na war. Kasi yung Assyrian Confederacy ay bahagi lang ng 42 months or World War III. Bahagi lang siya. Yun yung pinakahuling bahagi ng 42 months, yung Assyrian Confederacy. And sana ay na-gets mo na yung point, Brother Hermilo.
Okay, bro. Yung
Sure.
World War III, bro, yung World War III kasama din ba sa 3.5 years?
Yes, yung World War III is yung
Yan ba yun?
yes, yung period ng yung World War III, bro. Kung nakita mo yung tingnan mo yung sa may bandang baba, kita mo yung World War III, di ba? May araw. Yan ay nagpapakita na yun yung period ng World War III. Yes, World War III lahat yan. So, halimbawa, bigyan kita ng halimbawa, bro, no? Ang World War III is between America and Russia at yung kanilang mga allies. Okay? Yun yung nakalagay dyan na Western Bloc at saka Eastern Bloc. Yan yung World War III. Yan ay 3.5 years. During that 3.5 years, mangyayari yung sealing of the 144,000, matatapos yung sealing of the 144,000, magkakaroon ng close of probation sa church, pagkatapos magkakaroon ng solemn assembly, pagkatapos magdi-declare ng death decree na ayaw nyo sumama sa amin, ayaw nyo makipag-unite sa amin, patay kayo. So hindi tayo mag-obey doon. So yung period ng yan, lahat ng sinasabi ko ngayon ay mangyayari habang may gera. Pati yung Ezekiel 9, pag natapos yung gera, nandun yung Ezekiel 9. So yung Ezekiel 9, kung tutusin, dapat nandun yan siya dapat sa end of 10, nasa dulo ng Gis. So yan yung closing period ng 3.5 years. So yung Ezekiel 9, ang pinaka-sign natin na tapos na yung gera. Kasi ay tapos na yung gera. O tapos na rin yung Ezekiel 9. Kasi yun yung okay, tapos na yung 3.5 years. Kasi tapos na yung Ezekiel 9. So, that's it. So, ipinakita lang, brother, again, brother, so sa solemn assembly po, mag-take place ang Ezekiel 9. That's what I can see, Sister Marie. And I don't know how long will be the solemn assembly. 7 days, I don't know. But the point is, ang solemn assembly, Sister Rock said, this is what Sister Rock mentioned in her presentation. Sabi niya na ang solemn assembly might happen along the line ng Assyrian Confederacy. So bago magkaroon ng Assyrian Confederacy, magkakaroon ng solemn assembly to intensify yung but again, we will still have more light regarding the matter when will the solemn assembly really is going to happen, but for sure that is in the period when the death decree is when there will be a death decree. Okay po? So yun po yung kuan, Sister Marie. Yes, brother Hermilo.
Okay, bro, ko na medyo na ko na ng konti, hindi pa lang siguro na kabuuan, pero at least may ako na kukuha na ako na event. Dito pala kailangan po ceiling sa 144,000, tapos magsosolim assembly.
Mm-hmm.
Tapos Assyrian, yung Assyrian confederacy.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Kasi yung Assyrian confederacy pala, Brad, ito yung tinatawag mong decree.
Yes.
sa mga tao or sa mga ah, bayan ng Diyos na hindi sasali.
Yes.
Dito yung decree.
Yes, bro. That is correct. That's correct understanding, bro. So ang death decree ay nandyan sa dyan sa Assyrian confederacy. Na ayaw niyong sumama, ayaw niyong sumali, then you're dead. So actually doon sa I think nasa kung hindi ako nagkakamali ay nasa question number 12, number 11, 12 and 13 or number 15. Send ko isesend ko po ulit yung PowerPoint. I think nandoon sa mga yon yung question patungkol sa death decree. Kasi sinare ko yung death decree at nandun din yung bayan ng Diyos na magdi-decide sila na hindi makikipag-confederate dahil sa alam nila ang totoo at alam nila ang tama at their faith will be tested. Nandun yata sa question 11 or 12 or 13 at saka 15. So I will be posting that. Sorry, I will be sending the said PowerPoint and go to it. Yes, bro.
Last lang siguro bro.
Sure, sure. It's okay, bro.
Yung dito sa yung sa 3.5 years, hindi ko kasi nakita dito yung yung hindi wala pa po dito gathering ng Great Multitude, wala pa dito sa 3.5 years.
No. Ang gathering ng Great Multitude, bro, is after at next Friday if you are able to join, you will see where the gathering of the 100 of the Great Multitude will be. Ito ay
Sige.
yes, bro. Itong period na ito is just bago pa tayo pumasok sa kingdom. Okay? Bago pa pumasok ang 144,000 sa kingdom, bago pa magkaroon ng kingdom, itong mga events na itong ating pinag-uusapan. After nito, sa next diagram na ipapakita natin by Friday, makikita naman natin yung Daniel 11:45 fulfillment, which is the sitting on the heads, at hanggang doon sa none shall help him. Kung anong ibig sabihin ng none shall help him, kasi nandun sa 11:45, nakalagay sa Daniel 11:45, and none shall help him. That Daniel 11:45 will have two application. During the war and after, di ba po, sa susunod, 11:40, I don't want to give every detail sa inyo ngayon. I will be sharing that to you on Friday night, mga kapatid. Okay? So, is that clear to you now, Brother Hermilo?
Okay bro, thank you bro.
Okay, you're welcome, Brother Hermilo. Now let's close first. Let's have our closing prayer, and then pag closing prayer natin, we can continue with our discussion kung meron pa pong question. Kung wala na, then we will end. Would like to ask Brother Hermilo to lead us in prayer. Brother Hermilo? Brother Hermilo, ikaw po mag-pray. Thank you.
Closing prayer bro.
Yes po.
Amahan mo na ikaw sa itasan sa mga langit. Ining mga oras sa karon, ining mga taong kagabion. Diin kami imong gihiusa sa ining mga na aron sa paminaw pagpamatig sa mga lilon sa mga pulong diin regarding sa mga propesiya nga mo nga natunan adunay labot ingo sa amo nga presente nga panahon ang mga pagampo diin ikaw maghatag pagtugang alam panabot sa matag usa diin ang mga propesiya mo inyo nasabtan sa hinay-hinay o ang mga pagampo Ginoo diin kami makadangat nga ng inarian nga ganda alang sa imong mga katawan o ining takna sa kagabion samtang ang tagusa kanamo ang padulong sa pagpahulay among mga pagampo imo palaan ng mga anghel in mga protection sa matag kanamo kanang makadangat kami sa iyong kapugbagon o magpasalamat usab kami pinagi sa imong balaan ng ngalan o salamat sa mga panalangin usab ng mga dawat na imong gihatag alang kanamo labi na gid sa kinabuhi imong iyal sa matagos sa kanamo. Amat sa kayunan means matagos sa kanamo bisan sa naglain-laing dapit man pinaagi sa teknolohiya din kami nagkayusa aron sa pagtuon pagpamalandong sa imong mga puno o pasaylwa matagos sa kanamo kundi man kami nakahimo o kalapasan diya sa imong atubangan sa pulong ko ato kanahuna ning tanan gitugyan o gipasalamatan sa ngalan lamang ni Kristo Jesus ang among personal nga manluluwas. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Brother Camilo. Okay. If meron po kayong clarifications, please do so. Kung wala naman po, we can end for the night study. And hoping na meron po tayong nadagdag kaunti. Okay po? Yes po?
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome po, ate. Nanay Conchita. God bless po sa lahat.
God bless.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, Brother Tera. God bless
You're
po.
welcome, bro. Sir. Yes po, ate Ann.
Busy pa ka?